all right then, mate?
Well, other than being ill, mate, had a week off last week, and I was away for my birthday.
Yeah.
Big old. So yeah, so I had a lovely time up north.
What was that? What was that?
What?
Big old what?
I had a lovely time up north. Thanks to the Lake District. And we'd done a big trek and done 6 peaks in one go. And then we'd done another peak the following day, went to Keswick, got really lucky with the weather, just had a really good time, mate.
Yeah.
And was happy to sing in another year up in the mighty north. Basically
Amazing.
mate, so
Awesome. It looked like you had fun, and I'm glad you enjoyed your birthday, mate. Yeah. How old are you now?
old enough, brother.
Well, I'll always have that head start. Yeah.
Other than that,
Yeah.
how have you been, Samuel?
Yeah, all good, mate. Stressful couple of days, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But what I
Right,
wanted to say, Samuel, I mean, this is actually quite a milestone, this episode. Do you know that?
No.
So officially, this will be, drum roll, episode 50 of Dare to Talk.
Wow. It's our birthday.
I know.
That's incredible, really, isn't it? Because it's a lot of graphs gone into this. We should be proud of ourselves. 50 episodes is brilliant.
I know,
and
mate.
It's growing. It's growing as well. Getting messages and that again lately. So
yep, that's that's brilliant, mate. It's become like a little part of my life, a little sub thing of my life, and I wouldn't want it any other way, mate. It's an excellent thing that provides, I don't know, a little help for a few people, many people, however many people want to tune in. But
it's giving service back to the community, isn't it? That's the way I see it.
Yeah, it is, mate.
You know what I mean? Getting people's stories out there and inspiring others is there's something quite rewarding in that. Like, and when you get the messages and stuff, and the stuff I do with Dare to Talk and online and everything, and you actually see that you're making a difference in people's lives. It just gives you the encouragement to go on, doesn't it? Like 50 episodes is massive for both of us, because you do loads of work behind the scenes, I do loads of work behind the scenes, and it does take up a big part of our lives, doesn't it? But it's worth it, isn't it, if it's helping people?
Oh, mate, yeah, no end. I love doing it, and I don't consider it work. I enjoy it. It's more of a hobby than anything else. Do you know what I mean? That's just slotted into my lifestyle. That's kind of just part of what I do and who I am now. So
Brilliant.
that's long may it continue, mate, for another 50 more, and many more past then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
And another exciting thing that I think I've just finalised and got all sorted, in first weekend of June, there is the Ipswich Dragon Boat Festival races going on down at the waterfront in Ipswich.
What's that? Rowing?
Yeah, like the dragon boat racing, like the rowing. And I've got a team together from work, and we are going to be representing my place of work, and we're going to be competing in the dragon boat races in June.
Wow. Have you ever done what? I don't know what dragon boat racing is, if I'm honest. I just got.
You haven't.
I'll be honest, I just had an image of you with your beard stood on top of a dragon in the water rowing.
That's exactly what's going to happen, Sam. I, on June 3rd, am a dragon rider.
Wow. I used to be a dragon rider. Oh no, that was the drugs.
Definitely drugs. But it's a great event, because it's also raising charity for. We've got to raise some money for Brave Futures, which is a local charity which works sort of Suffolk and Norfolk area, supporting children who have been sexually abused.
Wow.
That helps them change mentality from being a victim to a survivor, and being able to carry on living their life sort of productively.
That's incredible. That's a great cause as well,
because really good cause.
Because not what only that will do is help the individual, but it may help the individual from reoffending later on in life.
Absolutely. I kind of just stumbled across the event last year as I was walking through the town centre, and made contact with the event organisers from that point and said, look, I'd be really interested in putting a team forward for next year. Put an email out at work a few weeks back and managed to get a team together. So now that I've got everyone,
that's incredible. Have you done rowing before?
Well, I've done concept 2 rowing. I've never done proper rowing before, but this is a bit different. That's like you get like the single oars. There's 11 of you in a boat. You've got a drummer at the back keeping rhythm, and you're going. That's like that. You're like you've got one either side, and then you're like 10 of you are all in a row, and then you're rowing like that to get to a finish.
Really?
That's like a sprint, basically.
Really? That'd be cool, man.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. That'd be really good. That's in the summer. Apparently, there's 32 teams enters.
Yeah,
that's a massive event.
Well, imagine this scenario. I haven't told you that I'm a dragon racer, and I come flying past you at the finish line. You just see me next to you like this. See you later, Jackie boy. That's not going to happen. I wouldn't even get into the drummer. I wouldn't be allowed to be the drummer.
You would have cut your beard by then anyway, so I won't be intimidated.
I think I'd have done it by now already. Do you know what? I've got one little random bit. I've got half a moustache on this side and not on this side. It's not growing for some reason. And every time I eat something, I bite into this. The other day, I thought I was having a stroke. I was like, oh my God, I've got pains up the side of my face. I was chewing on my moustache. Anyway, the panic's over.
Panic's over. Yeah. But yes, very exciting, and another event for charity. So I think I'm going to make it a habit now, mate. I think that's kind of me now. And
brilliant. That's what it's all about, giving service. And
that ties in with my work as well, and just trying to build a bit of like team welfare and sort of well-being and staff morale and all that sort of stuff. So it ties in with everything really. So I'm really going to push it. And Captain Jack is chasing glory on June 3rd.
Captain Jack Sparrow. Yeah. They're looking for a new Sparrow, so this could be your moment.
Johnny Depp not doing it?
Huh?
Is Johnny Depp not doing it?
No, I heard a rumour that Dwayne the Rock Johnson's going to be the next Captain Jack Sparrow, apparently. I saw it online the other day, and I believe everything I see online. How come yours grows evenly?
What?
How come yours grows evenly?
Because I'm better than you.
Fair enough.
But yeah,
calm down. Yeah,
we're professionals.
You certainly are.
Hi, Sam.
Hi, Jack.
Welcome to David.
No. My phone's come out again.
Stop fucking about with it.
Take a deep breath, Jack. And breathe. Yeah, Walther, motherfucker. Right, so we've had a palaver, not just with my phone.
Yeah, so the guest has pulled out, but I think we'll get him sorted. He might have forgot about the invite, whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
but we'll get Dylan on. I did have a glance at his social media, and I watched the video with Dan. He's doing some great things. So we will get him on. But I thought it'd be a good idea to take the opportunity to celebrate the 50th episode.
Yeah.
Because it's been a fucking hell of a journey, mate. We've had some amazing guests on, haven't we?
Absolutely, mate. And 50 episodes is incredible. We spoke about it briefly. I don't know if we were recording then or not, was we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an incredible achievement. It is for both of us. And like you say, 50 episodes, 50 different guests and incredible stories and inspirational stories.
Definitely.
Yeah. We we're going to make this episode a bit about Jack, which is nice because I normally make it all about me. It's like
changing things around, Sam.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So in about 10 days, I'll be running the London Marathon for the third year in a row.
Yeah.
Which is a big thing for me, but I haven't really promoted it all that much. I haven't pushed a lot of it, and there is a bit of a reason behind it, but that all kind of goes back to how it all came about, really. So it's going all the way back to 2020. So towards the end of 2020, I'd just been newly promoted in my job, and that was a massive jump. I basically went up 2 positions at my place of work, that was a huge leap for anyone, especially considering I'd only been there for like 2.5 years. So a lot of pressure within work, really stressed out. Also had basically, but I mean, so you think about the time scale then. So 2020 is when COVID is all at its height. So we're in the thick of it with COVID. So social interactions aren't going ahead. A lot of things are different. So socially, things are really different. I just kind of engrossed myself in work. And obviously with a new role under a lot of pressure, everything was real work driven. But I was in a relationship at the time. And that was a real comfort blanket for me at the time. However, end of that year, that all just kind of came crashing down. So the relationship ended really suddenly, and kind of unannounced, and hit me quite hard. I also had a close family member got in quite a bit of bother with the police, and really just really hit the family.
Stressful time.
Yeah, really stressful. And then I had another good friend of mine. She got sexually assaulted in Ipswich town centre. That was basically the last night when all the bars were open. You know, we had these periods where we were like coming in and out of lockdowns and whatnot.
Yeah.
We were just about to go into another lockdown, so it was the last night. And she got attacked in Ipswich town centre. So just there was literally I called it like the quadruple whammy. I just got hit with all these 4 things. I had this stress at work, a lot of pressure, sudden breakdown of a relationship, fucking a friend of mine getting assaulted, and then a family member getting in quite a bit of shit and affecting the whole family. So
and not to mention we were in the fucking middle of a pandemic as well.
In a pandemic, so it was awful, mate. And sort of going into 2021 January time, my mental health took a massive dip. And I know I've spoke previously about times when my mental health has taken big dips. So sort of way back, early doors when I first, like, my family broke down through divorce, and then finding out about my biological father. And then later on, when I was in a relationship, and then that broke down very suddenly, and that came crashing down again. So I took a real dip, and then I've managed to sort of pick myself up, and I was in a good place. 2020 was, I couldn't have been going better, mate. You know, I was in a relationship that was good. Got this ridiculous promotion at work and everything. I just thought, fucking hell, like everything's going great. Like, what the fuck? Like, world's in pandemic, but that's all looking good for me. And then end of the year, just boom, crash. Mental health right out the window. Really struggled. I had to disclose how I was feeling to my manager at work, who was awesome, and actually linked me up with basically the lead psychologist there, for some one-to-ones. Just for like well-being and care and just someone to talk to. So I started engaging in that. I previously engaged with that similar sort of thing, some therapy, like years before. So I got going with that, and that was really, she's brilliant, just absolutely brilliant. Just someone to sort of, I was offloading all of these horrible thoughts I was having, dark thoughts, not wanting to be here, felt really depressed, like everything had just gone out the window, feeling useless, feeling like just really shit. Everything was crap, and I had no motivation. But I had to. There was part of me that wanted to keep motivation because of the opportunity that I had, but then there was another part of me that just wanted to throw the towel in and go, "Fuck all of this. I just want to crawl the hole and die." Do you know what I mean? So that was those same thoughts were creeping in. Those suicidal thoughts again started to creep back in, and I knew I had to do something about it. I think coupled with the fact that
was this the first time of your life that you experienced suicidal thoughts, or did you have any when you were younger or anything?
No, so when I mentioned it before, so back when I first found out about my dad and the circumstances around him passing away from sudden arrhythmia and just unannounced dropped down dead one day, I think when I found out that, and you know, and I had this health anxiety, just thinking that I must have inherited this condition, and I must have the same thing. And I just felt really like hopeless and like I'd lost control. So I thought the only way that I could take control back was you know, suicide or like like that was how I felt. So
that's when all that mountain stuff come into play, weren't it? Where you were being extreme on the mountains and everything.
But similar. So at that point, it wasn't quite there yet. I had a couple of close encounters where I had a location where I was going to go. I had the method that I was going to do it, but I never followed through with it. It never got to that point. I just thought of family and the thought of them being told and me being found and all that. Just
you played it forward, played it forward in your mind.
The following time was when I had the relationship breakdown, and that was when I went off on the mad one. That was my 2017. That was my mad run where I went to do the 3 peaks. That was the video I done with Man Up, where I spoke about basically I was just an attempt to go and push myself to the limit and die. Do you know what I mean? I just wanted to break and just I wrote a letter that I left in my car, thinking that I was probably going to go and kill myself up on the mountain, and that would be the record of why or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, got.
Have you still got that message? What did you do with that letter?
I kept it for a few years, and then I got rid of it because I outgrew it, mate. And that's it felt right to do this story now, because I very much feel like I've outgrown the circumstances of how this all started, all my fundraising and the runs and all that. So going into 2021, I wasn't in the best place. I was engaging with therapy. I started exercising and running and pushing myself. I remember I ran, I think 1 week I'd done about 50 miles. I'd done like a couple of like 20-mile runs and then a couple of 5-mile runs all in 1 week. I sort of,
not much then.
I'm telling you, mate, that, you know, when we talk about Goggins and that mental strength, like I wasn't in the best shape of my life at that point, but because of everything that was going on in my head, I was able to push through. That was my running fuel. Do you know what I mean? That was.
I listened to him on a podcast the other day actually, and he was talking about all that in the States, and because he ran like 200 miles in a day and stuff, didn't he?
Yeah, and that is, mate. You use it. You use those bad thoughts, and I very much did, and I, you know, just tying it in with that relationship breakdown that happened suddenly at the end of 2020. You know, that's not fair to go into the details around it, but there was a lot of unanswered questions when it did come to an end. Every time I didn't have a lot of answers to it, and I think that played a big part in how my mental health just dipped, and I couldn't manage myself. I really struggled with it. But towards sort of the end of January, I actually found out what actually happened, and the fact that there'd been some deception and some things weren't entirely true that had been told to me. And it was unbelievable the amount of, that was like a huge weight just came off my shoulders, because I remember at the time, the manner that it ended, I blamed myself, like I quite often do. I just take ownership of and go, and fuck me, it must have been me. I've done something wrong. I'm a fucking tit. I've done something bad. But then when I realised and found out the truth, I was like, oh, it was me. It wasn't me at all. It was completely another person. And that was a massive release, and that was the little lift that I needed. That coincided with obviously at the time I'd just started to get into Goggins, and I was following him and seeing what he was all about, and I learned about his global event that I think I was in his 2nd or 3rd year of doing, which was the 4x4 by 48. So that was a 1-day event where you ran, well, a 2-day event. So you run 4 miles every 4 hours over 48 hours. So it's basically 12 lots of 4 miles through 2 days. So it's an endurance event.
Sounds horrendous.
But I got, as soon as I sort of grasped what it was all about, I sort of Googled it and I watched some YouTube clips and whatnot. I thought, what a great idea to really focus on, you know, with the way my mental health was, but the fact that I was able to latch onto my fitness and my exercise, and I was still able to do long distance running. I was keeping myself in check by talking about how I was feeling. I'd gained some knowledge and some truth that had allowed me to lift some of this weight that I was carrying on my back, and it put myself into a real focused mindset. And I thought at the time, one, it was a good event to do to focus on, but also it was the perfect starting point to try and raise some money for charity, which I hadn't done for a long time. I think way back in like sixth form was the last time I'd done like some charity fundraising. But I'd always, since finding out about my dad and understanding the circumstances around him passing away, I'd always wanted to raise money for the British Heart Foundation. And I'd always, since I was like 10 years old, wanted to run the London Marathon. So obviously that drive my whole life of wanting to run it. Then find out about my dad and being in back in my mind thinking I'd love to do something in his memory and raise money for the British Heart Foundation. And then obviously London Marathon. So I think I'd spent about 6-7 years trying to get in, but always failed. And I just thought, you know what, fuck it. I'm gonna do this event. I'm gonna, for the first time ever, I'm gonna push a little bit of the story out there just to see kind of what people think or how people respond to it. Because I kept a lot of it secret. There was only sort of close friends and family that are aware of it. I spoke to me nan and granddad about it. And
is it your biological dad's?
Yeah, so, so I spoke to them about it, and they were happy for me to do it. And so it began, mate. I think I launched it. That's probably a few weeks out from when I was going to do the event, and just fucking took off, mate. I mean, I was getting a lot of money coming in, and a lot of people messaging me and saying they had no idea. And I'd only really put out a small part of it. Do you know what I mean? I didn't put out the full story, and yeah, it just took off. And then I remember when I did the event, I managed to get a friend to run every like 4 mile that I'd done. I got a friend to come and do it with me. You know, obviously put it all over social media, like loads of responses. And I think I raised, I want to say it was close to about 1,200 quid within like a couple of weeks.
It's amazing, mate.
It was unbelievable. So
didn't you do an actual podcast with the British Heart?
Yeah, so this is how it all developed, mate. So this was the starting point. So obviously because of the response and what I'd done, at the time I remember just thinking like this can grow, because I know that the response I'd had, and I thought, fuck me, like this can really go somewhere. I think I could really do something good here. So I tried to get in contact with British Heart Foundation just to sort of let them know, look, I've done this event. This is the money that I've raised. And just try to sort of float the idea that I'd really love to run the London Marathon for them. That coupled with the fact my nan was, I think she rang them like every day for like 2 weeks to try and get them to contact me and speak to me about my story and whatnot.
Yeah.
One day they did. So they called me and fuck me, yeah, it just took off, mate. I remember I got an article in the local papers. Then I got an article in the national paper, and then I done the British Heart Foundation podcast. And then literally I had the best news ever. I remember I came out of work one day and I had this email on my phone, over my phone, and it was saying that they were happy to offer me a spot in the London Marathon that year, 2021. And I
How
just,
did that feel?
oh mate, I was in the car park and I was just leaping around the car park, like singing and like just dancing and just like so happy. And one of the best things, one of my mates just came, he saw me and came running over, and he like hugged me, and he was like, "What are we celebrating?" Like this, and like, I said, "I'm in," and he was like, "What are you in?" It was brilliant. It was the best feeling, and yeah, and then fuck me, mate, the whole, oh, and I just took off, mate. So then from that point, I because at the time the London Marathon was taking part in October rather than April when it normally sits, because of COVID, like the previous year that had been cancelled or they'd done like a closed event. So this was the first event post COVID. They wanted to do it in April but couldn't because we were still in lockdown. So that got pushed back to October. So I had from like March, April time when I found out, to train all the way through until October when I'd run the marathon. So I planned to do an event each month in build up to that, and then push my charity fundraiser, and yeah, and then it just fucking took off, mate. Obviously with all the articles and podcast, and that whole year just became something else, mate. And then, you know, because of all this positivity, that made my work and life a lot better, and allowed me to sort of thrive through that and that new position. And then, you know, through a series of circumstance support, I got qualified, and then got a permanent position, and then got a job. And do you know what I mean? Everything just went fucking super at work. And then,
isn't it funny how destiny works? Like
it's honestly,
you went through all that, which led you to come down to the dip, which led me to ask you to come on an episode, which led you to end up co-hosting it, and now we're sat here at 50 episodes of Dare to Talk.
Honestly, mate, I mean, you know, the irony of that, and I just think back to how I felt at the end of 2020, going into 21, and the way I'd been made to feel, and I just think there was a reason for that. Like, that really was rock bottom, and that put me into.
That's why you're passionate now about helping others. The same as,
mate, yeah, and you know, and I don't, you know, and where I'm at now, obviously went through and I ran the marathon, and it was one of the greatest moments of my life, and one of the greatest memories to be able to run it, and you know, to do it in memory of my dad and raise money. And then because of how successful I'd been in fundraising, they gave me another spot in 2022. So then I ran the marathon again in 2022, and that was obviously when I linked up with you and the Dip and podcast, and then 2022 again, really successful. Raised more money, and they gave me another spot for 2023. You know,
incredible, mate. Just quickly talking about your dad, as you know, I'm quite spiritual these days, and I get like a presence. I feel like sometimes I believe my nan. I can feel my nan's presence and everything. Be 100% honest. Did you do you ever get anything like that? Did you feel anything of your dad's presence when you're doing these runs or anything?
Yeah, I did. It's definitely that first year running London. I remember getting to the finish line, and that finish line, I really felt quite emotional, and I definitely felt his presence there. The time I really felt it was actually last year at the 2022 race. So they hold a big convention at the XL Arena. That's where you go and collect race number, and you go and meet like the British Heart Foundation there, and they give you like a little goodie bag and all sorts. But they had like this thing where they had like a big model of a heart, and you could they had like these little patches that you could write like a little message on, and then put that patch on the heart, and then that was like all their runners had like written something or like a memory or a little message on this patch and put on there. And I don't know what it was, but when I got there, they asked me sort of, you know, while I was running and asked me about what it was. And I got really emotional. And I was speaking about my dad, but it was like a proud emotional because
Yeah.
I realised how far I'd come. And I remember I wrote on the patch, it was like, to dad, the best discovery I've ever made. And then, do you know what I mean? For me, that really hit home, and I stood there and I was like, fucking hell, I was getting really quite emotional. I thought all these years, and that's paid off, and that's you know, and I've got myself to the place I am now,
Yeah.
off the back of something like an absolute rock bottom.
Yeah. Yeah. There's one way up from a rock bottom. People disagree with that. Some people say you can hover around the bottom, but I personally think use rock bottom as a springboard, like you have, to shoot to the stars. You know what I mean?
And then to get,
and that's nice as well, because if unfortunately you'll never get to meet your dad because of what happened to him, but being connected to him like that and feeling that presence is the closest you'll get in this lifetime to it. So it's nice that you felt that.
100%.
So
I felt like I'd done him. That was
proud.
like my honour to go and do that and do it in his memory. And
but that's a full circle, isn't it?
please, mate. That's why I feel like the run next week. That'll be the last time I'm going to kind of do London for this story, because I think this story's come to an end now.
Yeah, put closure, mate. You found that closure.
Yeah, that kind of where I was at beginning of 2021. That's so behind me now. Like I know the person I was then, not that person anymore.
About the V4 marathons behind you.
Yeah, that I remember at the time feeling quite bitter and quite angry and resentful and holding a bit of a grudge, and then you know about the truth, and then you know how that developed, and there was there was a little bit of pettiness at the time when I first done started my charity event, and then I heard about a similar charity thing that was going on, almost copying what I was doing, and I remember at the time that was just kind of I almost found it embarrassing. I remember I was just thinking, "Fuck, like really? That's what you're gonna do?" And that was enough for me. That was enough for me to go, right, it's time for me to grow and move past this. And where I'm at now in 2023, I've totally outgrown it. I've outgrown what that was in 2020. I've moved past all of those horrible thoughts I had, those depressing thoughts, and this run in London next weekend, that's the end of it. That kind of closes it off, and that's the final part of that story, I think.
Yeah. So things got really dark and that for you at one point. Now they did for me as well. I've put into place, and I think you have as well, things to protect us from that sort of thing in the future again. If things were to touch wood, they don't, but if things were to ever go tits up with you again, do you think you'd ever go back to that darkness, or do you think that you've grown so much for it you can take on whatever life throws at you now?
You know what? I mean, it's something we touched on before with one of our previous guests. He asked about sort of my dips and times when I've really sort of sunk into that pit of despair kind of thing. And however it may sound, I always feel like that's possible again. I always do. But what I've noticed from the first time to the second time to the third time, which was most recent, there's growth after each one. And I found last time when it happened, yes, I hit that absolute low point again, but the way I dealt with it, my self-awareness and the way I managed things and how I turned it into a massive, humongous positive off the tail goes to show that I'm far better at dealing with these slumps now than I ever have been.
Absolutely. It's a bit like being locked in a room and there's 5 doors to get out of, and the first time you've got a key but you don't know which door to open. But like after the few times you get to know which door you got to get out of, you can still be in that room for a bit, but you know the exit after a while. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. But yeah, and you know, like I say, I'm I'm in a good place now, and I'm you know, that's not that's gave me a real sense of giving back. You know, all the stuff that I've done over the last couple of years, and all the events that I've done, and raising money, and not only that, sort of in between those years, I done the 3 peaks for pancreatic cancer with my close friends. We went and done the 3 peaks in memory of his one of my friends' mum. And obviously I've got another charity event coming up with some people from work, so it's only inspired me to give back more and do more things.
Yeah, we've got our charity event in July coming up and that as well. And
do, mate,
yeah, do you know what? It's infectious, isn't it? It's addictive as well. Since I started doing charity work, the feeling it gives you to do that and give back to the community, um, like it's rewarding. I've made a lot of mistakes in the past. I've even thought, but I've actually took money from a charity in the midst of my addictions, and to do a lot of charity work now, and to get in a situation where I've paid that back and then some to a certain charity is what life's all about, really. It's owning our mistakes in the past and moving forward with it. But yeah, like I say, we've got charity events ourselves coming up together. You do your own individual charity work, I do my own individual charity work. And the first time I ever done something for charity, I I just I didn't even I just thought, oh, if I'm being 100% honest, I was doing the challenge for myself anyway, and I thought, I'll set up it for charity because that's what people do. Didn't think nothing of it, if I'm honest. And then when I actually done it and see that I was raising money for this charity, it's become like, wow, I can make a difference here. And ever since then, I've done loads of different stuff, different types of charities, and stuff that means stuff to me as well. Like the charity that I took money from when I was very sick. I've done a lot for them, and I've done stuff that even I've kept to myself because some charity work you don't need to shout about it. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you can just do things for yourself. But I've done stuff for cancer research because my dad had cancer. We had him on as a guest, and I know that charity is very important to him. So I raised some money for that charity for him and for the people that suffer with it. You know, yeah, it's very rewarding, and I think we're both going to get into heaven now, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, it's an absolute given. You know, and I reflect back over the last couple of years, and I realised just, you know, the level of growth that I've come on as a person, and in my, you know, my mental resilience, and my confidence, and just everything's improved. And as you know, it's a shame that I had to come from like an all-time low,
Yeah,
and off the back of a horrible pandemic where everything was fucked.
yeah. But do you know what? And like you said, it is a learning curve and everything. And even now, when I have a couple of bad days or something's out of my control, when things have gone wrong, and other people's actions and that, what I've learned from my past, like exactly what you said, like someone else's behaviour, which I'm not going to go into, has affected a massive group in a whole recently, and my mindset the whole time was, whenever I was getting down about it, and I was upset about it and that, but I was thinking there's a lot of growth to be had here, and that's because we've been through that, and we know on the other side of hurt and pain is growth. Do you know what I mean? On the other side of fear is growth.
You know,
we can see the positives in the negatives now, which is because we've had a lot of negatives happen towards us.
I remember at the time just thinking like that was the worst thing ever, and just feeling like that's never going to get better. I'm done. I felt like I'm never going to get those feelings back for someone, and then all of a sudden that just took a turn, and I realised how wrong I was about my own perceptions of myself, and the fact that I was the good person, I was the good guy, and you know, and then from that point, that just all changed. Everything got better, and then got really good, and then got even better, and then just, you know, kept going, and yeah, I'm on a different plateau now. Do you know what I mean? That's
Yeah, that's like that quote, isn't it? There's that one day you will tell your story of all like your pain and heartache, and it will become someone else's survival guide. Do you know what I mean? And that's exactly what you do, what I do, and what all our 50+ guests have done.
Yeah, genuinely, mate. I get, you know, my story is my own. But if I can help someone in the fact that I can share something that was very personal, was a real dark time with me, and you know, they're not nice thoughts that I had back then, but if someone can take something from the fact that even though I had those, I engaged with therapy. You know, I was speaking to people. You know, I was relying on good, solid people to sort of look out for me. Focused on my work, and I focused on my health and well-being.
Yeah.
And it all just went, mate.
Yeah, and I put a post up the other week where you just said about thoughts, and that goes not just with suicidal thoughts, but thoughts with people in addiction and stuff and everything. And thoughts only become dangerous if we take action on them. But you can take the right action. Like if you took the action where you were to take your life or something, obviously that's game over. But if you take the right action to talk to a friend or a family member, and express how you're feeling and get the help you need, like you did, you're a shining example of how things can get better just by communicating on how you're feeling and everything. When you were keeping stuff to yourself and climbing up mountains and just writing letters to yourself, you were struggling. When you opened up and said how you were feeling, that's when the real growth started happening, didn't it? So it's a lesson to anyone to learn that's listening to this, that's struggling with anything on their own. You don't have to.
There was one thing I forgot to mention actually. The other thing that I started beginning of 2021 was a personal journal. That was something that was recommended by the lady that I was speaking to. She said that'd be a good idea for you to start writing down your kind of thought process and your activity and what you're doing. And from that point, I've never stopped. Like I'm on to like my second book now. Like just writing down. I don't. It's not.
Will, do you remember Will Edwards, who come on who was he didn't have a problem with booze and that, but he went sober for a while and ended up staying sober. He was talking to me about writing a journal, and he inspired me to get one, but I've never written it. But it's something I want. But I got one. But it is something I want to start doing as well, because I've heard.
I don't write every day. That's, you know, maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, depending on what's going on.
Do you know what sprung to mind then when you said that? Remember Ken, the hermit?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. And when we went and done our episode with him, he'd written his whole life down, and we wouldn't have got that fantastic story from him if he hadn't have written all that down. Do you know what I mean? So, and what a remarkable life he had.
No doubt, mate.
Yeah. Or has, sorry. Let's not write him off just yet.
He's still going strong, mate.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't know who we're talking about, go back and listen to the Hermit of Treg. Me and Jack, we hiked out 2.5 hours to go and see him. He lives in a little hut he built himself in the middle of nowhere in Scotland. There's a wonderful documentary about him as well on BBC iPlayer. You should check it out.
Yeah, definitely. The award-winning Hermit of Treg.
The award-winning Hermit of Treg. Tater.
Anywho, as always, like and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify. Dare to Talk. Add us on Instagram. I am Jackie Boy Shep. Sam is
Dare_2_dip. Nailed it.
Dare to Dip on Facebook. Ask to join the group. Fantastic bunch of people. They're still going every day. There's an amazing bunch of people down there. Lovely bunch. Go and experience cold water therapy. It will definitely change your day. It may change your life.
It will, and now is the best time to start getting into it if you want to condition yourself for the colder weather coming up, because we're doing Dare to Dip December again soon. Well, in December, funny enough.
Yeah, don't jump the gun yet, mate.
Yeah, but people, if they want to take on that challenge, should start conditioning themselves now.
I would agree. Yes, it's time to do it now. Anything else to add, Samuel?
Just I think you've trimmed your beard.
that's
No.
the only one that trims the beard out of the both of us. The more I see you, the more I realise how much you're trimming it. So I might just have to call an end to this competition because I've already won multiple. Yeah, so like I said, I haven't really pushed a charity fundraiser for this third and final time of doing London, but I will.
Look at me.
I will add my GoFundMe to the link of this, just to sort of say this is the final straw. This is the last time we'll be doing London, possibly.
Pussy. Yeah, right.
But yeah, so yeah, the British Heart Foundation, memory of my dad. Go back and listen to episode 4, I think, is when I talk about it. If not, I've got the British Heart Foundation episode 25, I think it is. My story's on there as well. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah, don't plug other fucking podcasts, mate. This is death. I'm a joke.
A terrible person.
Anyway, I don't care what charity it is. I'm joking. Oh, I just lost my seat in heaven. I've got to go, Jack. Yeah. I've got some praying to do. Peace out.